He shoved the homeless boy into the dirt, screaming, "Get away from her, you filth!" completely unaware that the dirty hands he had just crushed were the only ones capable of saving his daughter's life. This billionaire thought he was protecting his child from a street rat, but he was actually stopping a miracle. And when he finally realized the truth, it was already too late. Quickly hit that subscribe button if you believe we should never judge a book by its cover. Let's get into the story. It was a scorching midday in the Plaza of Saints. The heat was oppressive, rising from the cobblestones in shimmering waves that distorted the air. It was a place where wealth and poverty danced a strange, uncomfortable tango. Businessmen in silk suits rushed past beggars without glancing down. Tourists took selfies in front of fountains, while ignoring the thirsty dogs sleeping in their shadows. And right in the center of it all, sitting on an ornate iron bench, was a statue of loneliness. Her name was Lily. She was 10 years old, dressed in a pristine white lace dress that likely cost more than a car. But she looked like a doll that had been left behind. Her hands were folded tightly in her lap, her knuckles white, and her face was hidden behind oversized dark sunglasses. To the passing world, she was just a rich girl waiting for her driver. But inside Lily's world, there was only darkness, an eternal, suffocating night. She couldn't see the vibrant flowers, the blue sky, or the worried expression of her father, Mr. Sterling, who was currently pacing inside a luxury boutique a few yards away, shouting into his phone about a stock market crash. Lily was used to being ignored. To the world, she was invisible. To her father, she was a broken object that his money couldn't fix. Suddenly, the rhythmic sound of leather shoes on pavement was interrupted. A different sound approached her, the soft, shuffling sound of bare feet on hot stone. A shadow fell over her. Lily flinched, turning her head instinctively. "Who is there?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "You are very quiet for someone sitting in such a loud place," a voice replied. It wasn't a threatening voice. It was raspy, dry, but incredibly gentle. It belonged to a boy, maybe 12 years old. He was a stark contrast to Lily. His clothes were little more than rags, stained with the gray dust of the city. His hair was a tangled mess of curls, and his face was smudged with dirt. But his eyes were ancient. They held a depth that didn't belong to a child. "I can't see the loud place," Lily admitted, her voice barely audible. "My eyes are asleep. The doctors say they will never wake up." The boy didn't say, "I'm sorry." He didn't offer the usual hollow pity that adults gave her. Instead, he knelt down. He ignored the burning heat of the ground against his knees. "Sleep is just a pause, not an end," the boy said softly. "Sometimes things just need permission to wake up." Lily frowned beneath her glasses. "Are you a doctor?" The boy chuckled, a sound like dry leaves rustling. "No, doctors use knives and lasers. I just use what is already there." He paused, then whispered, "Do you trust me?" It was a crazy question. Her father had taught her never to speak to strangers. Her bodyguards were trained to keep people like this boy miles away. But in that moment, Lily felt a warmth in her chest that she couldn't explain. It felt like safety. "Yes," she breathed. She slowly reached up and removed her glasses. She revealed her eyes, cloudy, milky white, staring blankly into the void. The boy raised his hand. His fingers were grimy, stained with earth and charcoal, but they didn't shake. He moved with the precision of a master watchmaker. "Be still," he murmured. "I'm going to pull the curtain back." He touched the corner of her eye. Lily gasped. It didn't hurt, but it felt strange, like a vibration, like a hum of electricity was passing from his dirty fingertips into her optic nerve. He pinched the air right above her pupil. To anyone watching closely, it looked like he was holding nothing. But then he pulled, slowly, deliberately, and something began to come off. A thin, translucent film, almost like a layer of spiritual dust, began to peel away from her eye. It shimmered in the sunlight, reflecting colors that Lily hadn't seen in years. Inside the boutique, Mr. Sterling happened to glance out the window. His heart stopped. He didn't see a miracle. He saw a nightmare. He saw a filthy street rat touching his precious, fragile daughter's face. His mind went blank. The primal instinct of a protector, mixed with the arrogance of a billionaire, took over. "No!" he roared, dropping his phone. He burst out of the store, knocking over a mannequin. He sprinted across the plaza, his face red with fury. "Get your hands off her!" The boy had just finished pulling the film from Lily's second eye when a force like a freight train hit him. Sterling shoved him with all his might. The boy flew backward. He hit the cobblestones hard, his elbow scraped against the stone, bleeding. The delicate, invisible thread he had extracted from Lily's eyes fell from his hand and dissolved into the wind, lost forever. Sterling stood over the boy, panting, his fists clenched. "You filth! You animal! How dare you touch her! I'll have you thrown in a cage where you belong!" The crowd gathered instantly. Phones were recording. People whispered, "Look at that junkie trying to rob a blind girl. Good thing her father was there." The boy lay on the ground. He didn't cry. He didn't fight back. He just looked up at Sterling with a sadness that was heartbreaking. He looked at the man not with anger, but with forgiveness. "Daddy, stop!" Lily's scream tore through the plaza. Sterling spun around, adrenaline still pumping. "It's okay, Princess. Daddy is here. I saved you. That trash won't hurt you again." He reached out to grab her hand, to pull her away from the danger. But Lily didn't move. She was blinking, rapidly. Tears were streaming down her face, washing away the dust of her past. She looked up, not towards him, at him. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice trembling with shock. "You look older than I remember." Sterling froze. The anger drained from his body instantly, replaced by a cold, confusing shock. "What?" "Your hair," Lily said, reaching out a trembling hand to touch his face. "It has gray in it now. And your tie. It's red, bright red." The world went silent for Mr. Sterling. The noise of the plaza vanished. The heat vanished. There was only his daughter, looking into his eyes with a clarity that was scientifically impossible. "Lily?" he choked out. You can see me?" "I can see everything," she sobbed, laughing and crying at the same time. "I can see the sky. I can see the birds. Daddy, he fixed me." Sterling fell to his knees. He looked from his daughter's bright green eyes to the spot where he had thrown the boy. "He fixed you?" Sterling stammered. "The boy? The one I—" He spun around on his knees, frantic. "Boy, hey, where are you?" But the cobblestones were empty. The crowd was dispersing. The boy was gone. "Find him!" Sterling screamed at his security team, who had just arrived. "Find that boy! I don't care what it costs! Close the city blocks if you have to!" They searched for hours. They searched for days. Sterling became a ghost in his own mansion. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. Every time he looked at his daughter, happily reading books, painting, watching the sunset, he felt a dagger of guilt in his heart. He had held a miracle in his hands, and he had thrown it in the dirt because it didn't look expensive enough. He hired private detectives. He went to the slums himself, showing a sketch of the boy to homeless shelters. "Have you seen him? Please, I need to apologize. I need to thank him." But nobody knew him. It was as if an angel had stepped down for 1 hour just to test the heart of a rich man, and finding it wanting, had vanished. Weeks later, Sterling returned to the bench. He sat where Lily had sat. He closed his eyes, trying to feel what she had felt. An old flower seller walked by. She stopped. "You're looking for the healer," she said. It wasn't a question. Sterling opened his eyes. "You know him." "I saw him," the old woman said. "After you pushed him, he didn't run. He walked away slowly. He wasn't hurt by the fall, sir. He was hurt by your hate." "Where is he?" Sterling begged. pulling out a wad of cash. "I'll give you anything." The woman pushed the money away. "He told me something before he left. He said, 'Tell the father that his daughter's eyes were easy to open, but his own eyes, those will take a lifetime to heal.'" Sterling broke down. He wept right there in the middle of the plaza, surrounded by strangers. He realized that money could buy surgeries, but it couldn't buy vision. He had been the blind one all along. From that day on, the billionaire changed. He didn't just write checks to charities. He went to the streets. He looked people in the eye, the beggars, the unwanted, the filth. He looked for that boy in the face of every person he met. He never found him, but in a way, he found himself.